Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nichol.
Thank you so much for dropping on Series 15. This is April 24th, 2026. If you're new to dropping in, thank you so much for coming. And then if you've dropped in 140 times, this is our 140th episode. And this is a bonus guest that I have on this series. Normally I have 10 guests, but this is our 11th. And I'm so excited because this has been such a great topic. We are talking about goals. They're not just about winning medals or hitting milestones. They're about learning how to keep moving forward when motivation dips, plans change, and you know that curveball that life throws at you. We've talked to Olympians, doctors, change makers, how they unpack their goals, reset goals, and sometimes completely rewrite their goals. I'm excited to drop in with this guest, so let me introduce them. Our next guest bet on himself, and it changed everything. He is a Vancouver-based concert pianist and composer, known across Asia as Canada's Prince of Piano. At just 18 years old, he took a $35,000 risk to bring his music overseas, a bold move that led to a sold-out 16-city tour across China, and launched a career performing for audiences around the world. But his journey hasn't been without challenge. A serious on-tour accident left him unable to play, forcing him into a long and difficult recovery. Sound familiar, everyone? Over 233 medical appointments, surgeries, and a fight to rediscover not just his music, but his identity. His return to piano is a story of resilience and reinvention. Now he is using his experience to create change, developing new ways to support performing artists through recovery, while continuing to share his music globally through his latest release, the Solo Piano Collection, available in over 40 countries. This artist, risk taker, and resilient performer is about to drop in. It's my pleasure to welcome Martin Mayer. Hi, how are you?
Good morning. Hello. That was quite the intro. I was just like, yeah, no, it's so weird to hear about yourself. I don't know how it is for you, but when they're like, it's Canada's Prince of Piano, I was like, it's cool in a way, but it's also kind of like, I don't know. Can I ever achieve like the king status?
Oh, you want more? I love that.
Well, I mean, when you've gone through what I've gone through, right? And
Yes.
as you and I talked about, and you yourself, you always want to be like, okay, so I'm back.
Next.
But am I though, right?
Yeah, that's true. All right, we're going to start with the rapid fire 10 questions. Are you ready?
I am.
All right, the first one's really easy.
Okay.
Where in the world are you today?
I'm in Vancouver.
Nice. Okay, did you grow up in Vancouver?
No, I was born in the Czech Republic and came to Canada probably before most of the audience was born.
Czech Republic? Okay, cool. How long have you been in Vancouver? Did you go straight to Vancouver?
No. So yeah, I came to Vancouver by way of Edmonton. So
wild.
Yeah, I know, right? In a hockey town and learning piano. I was very popular, quote unquote, not.
Okay, Czech Republic, Edmonton, Vancouver.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you an early morning or a late night type of person?
Late night, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I have a friend who's a composer and pianist in Mexico. And I'm like, when do you guys like practice? What works for you guys? So that's cool. Late night for you.
Yeah, mostly because I identify as a highly sensitive person, so I find that during the day, a lot of things in the world overwhelm me.
Okay.
And so when the world is quiet and things are sleeping, that's usually when I just go to the piano and, usually if it's at night, I put on the non-acoustic function so that I don't get grumpy neighbors being like, that sounds lovely, but we'd love to sleep, please.
I like that. That's
So yeah, it's the quiet version that the quiet time of day is usually when I sort of fare best.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Are you coffee or tea kind of guy?
Tea, Earl Grey, hot. Yeah.
Okay. Earl Grey. Okay. I've really gotten into tea mostly for like a detox lately.
Okay, fair. Yeah, no, I can't do coffee. I've never liked the taste of it. I feel like Ted Lasso, the equivalent. So Ted Lasso, if you haven't seen it, he goes and coaches this soccer team in the UK. And part of the whole thing is like, tea culture. So they offer it to him and he's like, yeah, I don't know. And he's like, no, like dirty water to me. And I am the equivalent of that with
With
coffee.
coffee.
Yeah.
No doubt, I don't like coffee either.
No. Okay. Good. Excellent. All right.
For me, it feels, I've said this on the podcast before, it feels like a drug like running through my veins, and I'm just like, oh, I can't do it.
Is it because you find it too intense? Like, does it give you that sort of
Yeah.
overcaffeinated, jet lagged, I haven't slept
Yeah, I don't like, yeah.
feeling?
It
Okay.
gives me like an awful like nervous system like
Yeah.
freak
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
That's the
But I don't
benefit.
understand how people do it every day, but that's
That's the
not my
caffeine.
problem.
Yeah.
Number 4, what's one word your friends would use to describe you?
Funny.
Okay, nice. I was gonna say patient just reading your story.
Well,
Because
that's
I know the patience that
yeah,
it
yeah,
takes to go through
yeah.
all of this. Number 5, if you could instantly master one skill, what would it be?
To elegantly regrow my hair. For
Ah!
those that for those that can't see and are listening, I'm about as bald as Patrick Stewart.
Oh my gosh, you look good, you pulled it off though.
Thank you. This is a lot of this took 3 hours to put together.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Number 6, what's your favorite way to recharge after a busy week?
Oh, great food, great company.
Mm.
Great food more than anything. There's something innately um intrinsic about finding food that not just gives you what you need, but also just like, you know, I don't care whether it's the best slice of pizza or whether it's like, but the best steak or best seafood or whatever. It's whatever that just, your taste buds, just the thought of whatever it is, it just lands on the taste buds and your entire body just sort of goes, ah, right?
I had that last night. It was really
What
good.
was it?
Well, a new restaurant that was an old restaurant's opened up in Whistler, and,
Okay.
we went and tested it out. I was like, "Oh, this is like old, like, it's just back in the day memories and
Oh,
just
nice.
delicious food." So that's, and there's so many good places in Vancouver. You're, like,
Yeah.
living in the hot spot for good food. I love that.
I know. I can if I could, and, my bank account wouldn't scream at me, I would probably eat out every day.
No doubt, right? Number 7, this is gonna be interesting for me to hear because
Okay.
athletes have, like, pump up songs. Do you have, like, a go-to pump up song or playlist?
I would say, and I'm totally dating myself, but I would say any of the stuff by Matchbox 20.
Oh, I like
If
that.
I, right?
Yeah.
Because, I was listening to that, early mornings driving to high school, driving to college, university, and that type of thing. And it
Oh,
always came on at the time where it's like, like in Edmonton, it's freezing cold, -34. You're having to drive, 3 hours in both direction wearing your grandfather's pajamas. And, you need something that's gonna boost you because for me, it wasn't caffeine. So when Rob Thomas and Matchbox 20 would come on, I think it was usually Bent. The song was Bent, or what was the other one that was really popular? I don't remember, but yeah, it's so anytime that I go on like a walk or a hike and I really need to sort of get in that energy,
that makes sense.
that's usually what I put on.
Awesome. Number 8, what's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Hmm. Um, I am a pretty wicked cook. I
Ah.
love to cook. I took it up after I moved out here, and I said to my mom, I was like, I want to get the recipes that you've been cooking for most of my adult life. And there was a time years ago where I was on vacation in Dominican Republic, and I slipped and fell on a flight of stairs, and I ended up banging up my left arm. And it was that, yeah, that's a whole different story. But what was really frustrating, and again, you can relate to this, and so can anyone that has gone through physical therapy and pain and having to recover. You just go home and you're like, okay, I don't really want to do anything today, but I also don't want to watch anything. So how can I nourish my brain or my soul? And for me, that became, okay, go in the kitchen. What do I have? What can I create? Right. And
Cool.
it's really developed into that whole thing of like, when I say I love to cook,
Mhm.
there are times where I will say I will do the Julia Child's beef bourguignon, the one that takes 6 hours, with a $35 bottle of Burgundy, because at the end of all of that, it is just that sort of, it's what I talked about, like soul food, right?
Mhm. I like that. You have patience of a saint. I'm like the kind of cook that's like I'm like a Rachel Ray. I'm like 30 minutes, we're done.
Yeah. Well, good things
Um,
good things take time, right?
they do. They totally do. They totally do. Number 9, if you could have any superpower, what might that superpower be?
Oh, to to bring back the people that are no longer with us.
Oh,
Yeah. My
do you
mom
have a spec
passed 10 years
yeah.
ago, April 9th,
Mm,
and that's been hard. I had to go through this, without her here. I would say
mm.
that more than anything, is bring
Yeah,
back people that you loved and that are no longer with us.
that's super touching. You don't wanna fly.
Yeah.
I
No,
like
not
that.
really. Not
No,
really.
I think that's really, really sweet. Okay, so number 10, you've seen before, and it'll get into the topic
Yeah.
of this series. When a goal feels far away or starts to change, what's the one thing you remind yourself to stay committed?
Now or when I was going through it?
Let's do both.
'Kay. When I was going through it, it was really something that had to be written down, uh,
Mhm.
and almost written down on a mirror so that I could see it, so that when I
Yeah.
would get up in the morning, it's like when I finally got my diagnosis and I was counting down to the surgery, I was literally writing the days on the mirror
Mhm.
in front of me. You've got X amount of days to go before this resolves, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And having that sort of countdown, or having something that says, like for the longest time, when I was younger and I was trying to move my career, I had a little printed piece in my car that
Mhm.
said, talent alone is not enough, hard work and determination are key. And when you see that, there's that subconscious of, it just kind of starts living in your brain, right?
Say that one more time.
When
Talent is not
talent
enough.
alone is not enough,
Yeah.
hard work and determination are key to success.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that there's so many things that uh, you see out there, and I would probably say I've got somewhere between 5,000 to 6,000 screen caps on my phone of stuff that I've seen on Instagram, where the one that I printed out onto the binder of all of my medical stuff is the one
Mhm.
from Brene Brown,
Mhm.
which says is, falling down is hard,
Mhm.
but getting up is the bravery that comes with being brave, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm not saying it word for word, but that sort of thing always works with me, is that when you see something,
Mhm.
right, or you remember something, or I would just put it in front of me somewhere, and I
Yeah.
do that now too. Is, okay, what do I want to focus on? What is the thing that specifically says
Mhm.
I'm okay, or this is okay? And if it's not, then I'll have my partner remind me,
Mhm.
or I'll have a friend remind me, or I'll send myself a email in the future 2 hours later being like, "Hey, by the way, you know, I know you're busy right now and you're not really paying attention, but you are okay, even if it doesn't feel that way."
I like that. Being accountable, having other people be accountable for you.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm so excited. Thank you. That was the rapid fire. We made it.
Okay.
Never wrap it. So good.
Yay.
We're gonna I wanna hear about your story because in the bio, we talk about this injury, but
Mm,
we don't know what this injury was. So
yes,
can you break that down exactly, maybe what happened there? Because
sure.
233 surgeries, It's a lot.
233 appointments, just
Appointments, I beg your
clarity, not
pardon. Yeah.
surgeries.
Yeah, thank you.
Although I feel like I could use 233 surgeries on my face just to,
I know. Good geez. Good for you for getting that number of appointments. I was like, "Oh, I saw, like, 14 different plus
Yeah,
practitioners." So, like, I can't imagine that's a lot to dive into, those amount of appointments that you took. So good
it
on
is.
you.
So, basically what happened was that, on my last China tour, which was just before the pandemic hit, I was
Mhm.
doing 20 concerts in 30 days. At the end of the tour, the tour was great, the audiences were amazing, I was super exhausted, and I was traveling back home, and the international flight was going from Guangzhou, which is in South China,
Yeah.
through Taipei, and then back to Vancouver. And so I had an 8-hour layover in Guangzhou, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll book myself a hotel and just sort of chill out and taking some great food before I leave.
Mhm.
And I was on a hotel shuttle bus where they put you in, they put the luggage in, and they're like, "You good to go?" I was like, "Yeah, right." Don't think anything of it. You don't think, and I don't know why this is, and maybe this is part of something that I need to undertake. But when you think about public transit or public transportation or anything like that, we are in a moving vehicle at a
Mhm.
certain rate and there are no seat belts. Why are there no seat belts? Well, I was about to find out the hard way. So we're not 2 minutes out of the airport. The driver slams on the brakes because somebody was running across. I fly hands first into my luggage.
Oh,
Normal human reaction, a pianist's worst nightmare. I dislocated my left pinky, so the visual aspect is normally it looks like this, it then
straight,
went
yeah.
like that,
Oh my god, it went sideways. It went 90
like
degrees.
90 degrees sideways.
Oh my gosh.
Sprained my fourth finger, and I'm getting up, and the first thought is, "Okay, so this tour was fun, and this career is now over."
Mm,
Show up at the hotel where there's like 20 suits waiting because they had radioed ahead and there's cars ready to take me to the ER. You get the finger reset. Oh, but you have to communicate in a language that you don't speak and they don't necessarily fully understand. You can't just put it back in,
yeah.
and you have to, so I remember having, and my tour manager had gone back to Beijing.
Oh boy. You're
And
by
so I
yourself.
was on my own, so I'm pulling out my phone and fumbling
Google
to find.
Translate?
No, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find a tour poster that shows and explains who I am, and
Oh
I
my
show this, to the people, and all of a sudden, somebody calls and 7 people show up, and all of a
Mhm,
sudden the treatment changes, right? Okay, so we get
mhm.
X-rays and CT scans and all this sort of stuff, and they put an injection into the left hand before they start putting it back in, and then once it's back in, they send you for X-rays again, and so that was before I had to go back, and
Yeah.
I still had 2 airports to get through, my luggage, and a 14-hour flight back.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is like, make I don't know if you're a Marvel movie fan, but
Yes.
it makes me think of the,
Yeah, I know.
like,
I saw that.
what's his name?
Doctor Strange.
Doctor
Doctor
Strange, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Benedict Cumberbatch's movie. I remember seeing that, and when that happened, I was like, "No, no, not
Y
watching the rest of this."
you're like, "That's quite a trigger."
I saw the
Oh,
car falling down and the stuff that
yeah.
was going on with his hands, and immediately I saw that, and it's like, "Nope. No, thank you."
Oh my
Like,
gosh. Okay,
okay.
wild. Okay, so you ugh, detriment to your career that has been your whole life. I completely understand. We are aligned on that story. And how and what you had to travel back home. In your head right away, were you like, what am I gonna do now?" You thought your career was over, or were you like, "I'm gonna get back and somehow it's gonna be fine?"
I had no sense because I was so exhausted from the entire thing, um, that I basically got onto the flight, and I've traveled extensively enough that I know what I need when I travel,
Yeah.
and so I took the opportunity to get a lie flat seat on the way
Oh,
there and on the way back. So I basically got help to get my luggage into everywhere. I
yeah.
asked for help where I could, and I used Google Translate where I could. And I was also walking around with bandaged hands and all this sort of stuff. I
Yeah.
remember getting onto the flight and giving a document to the flight crew, and they came over to check on me. And I said, "Look, I'm just gonna just lie down, wake me up for dinner type of thing."
Yeah.
And what felt like 5 minutes was actually 14 hours. I slept through the entire thing, and I remember waking up in Vancouver and being like, "Okay, I'm home, and I have no idea what happens next."
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, one step at a time, right?
yeah. But
1 minute at a time.
what I didn't realize at the time was that there was an invisible clock that was counting down around me,
Mm,
because what was so interesting is that this was at the end of September 2019,
mhm.
and in 2.5 months, we
Oh
would
my
see
god.
that picture of the lone cyclist in Wuhan, which I
Yeah.
had just traveled through. And let me tell you, that is a massive travel hub. When I saw that, it was like going from a friend's place and you're traveling down the highway and you're watching the house explode in the rearview mirror.
Mhm.
So I had an invisible clock that was in the universe that said, "Okay, you got to go and do this." So you see the GP, GP sends you to a hand specialist. The hand specialist says, "Yeah, all this looks good. Fine. You'll do physiotherapy. Keep playing. We'll put you on some medication to numb out the pain. You'll be fine."
Okay.
What they
And how
don't
are the fingers feeling? Like, this is what, as soon as you got home?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I got home, and I think the next day, we were calling my
Okay.
GP to explain what had happened, and like
Okay.
it happened in rapid succession, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
they wanted to make sure that if there was something that I could get into surgery right away, and
Okay.
so on. And so I started physiotherapy, and I started taking medication that I hadn't before and that I didn't understand, and I was like, okay, yeah, it helps, it helps take away things, but it didn't fully feel right. And when they
Mm,
said keep playing, I said, okay, well, they want you to keep moving, right?
right.
What they don't tell you is when they prescribe you opioids, is
Mhm.
that it turns off the pain centers in the brain.
Oh,
So
shit.
yeah, yeah. Oh shit is right. Because so I'm playing, and what is happening physically in my body is that my hands are screaming at me
Oh my
and I can't
goodness.
hear it.
Okay.
And
Oh.
so the whole thing of where everything fell apart is at some point they go like, okay, so you're in physio, and yes, this coronavirus thing, whatever that might be, might sort of be around for a while, but you'll be fine and whatever. They start weaning you off of this stuff,
Okay.
and it starts affecting the mental, and it starts affecting the physical, and all of a sudden the pain
Oh
that
my
had
gosh.
disappeared is now back, and it's worse, and
Yeah.
it's through like a vengeance of like, I knew that I was in trouble when I woke up at one point at 3 o'clock in the morning screaming my face off because it felt like somebody had taken a sledgehammer to both my hands. And I remember going to and this was really at we're now at the 1 year point past the accident.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh, just, okay, so go back on the medication, and that'll help." And I was like, "Well, at some point I have to get off the medication." And there was an
Start this vicious circle all over again.
well, yeah, that, but I had also seen this acronym at some point through all of that says pain is an acronym for pay attention inwards now, right? Pain is this
Fascinating.
this thing of like, it's an alarm system that goes, "Hello, hello, something is wrong."
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I wanna break this down because I know
Mm,
our stories are so aligned, it's unbelievable. I'm really proud
yeah,
of you for asking for help at the airport. You got help from your GPs. A year in, you're still asking for help, but it's
yeah,
not being offered in the right way because you're actually in tuned with your body and you're
yeah,
like, "No, that's not gonna serve me well." This is what I'm hearing.
yeah.
Um And along the way, in your head, you're still playing the piano, so you still have a passion for this, right? Like, that's not
Well,
going away.
well, at that point, I had walked away because it was causing me pain. And to give perspective, I was able to move a 750-pound grand piano on a stage to where I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And at the height of when everything broke down, I could barely lift a teacup.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
this goes into a space where this medication isn't working. Okay, can you send me for tests? GP says no. Can you send me for x-rays? No. MRIs? No. CT scan? No. I go back to the hand specialist and he says, MRIs and CT scans are not going to show anything. And I said, well, how do you know that? Because what I'm telling you is that I am in relentless agony and there is nothing for it. And
Right.
everybody's saying, just go back on the opioids. I'm not going to be on that for the rest of my life because that's not a solution.
Right.
What I ended up having to do, Mercedes, was to fire my GP of 16 years
Yeah.
and become my own Dr. House. I had to go and start looking for the specialist. This hand specialist couldn't help me. Great. Thank you. Next.
Yeah.
I went through 3 of each hand specialist, rheumatologist, neurologist, pain specialist, herbalist, dietitian, psychiatrist, psychologist, clinical behavior therapy, DBT, all this sort of stuff. That's how I got through the 21 specialists and the 233 appointments, because when these people started saying, we don't know what this is, next. Okay.
I love that you were fighting for yourself. And so many people would just be like, oh, that doctor said no. But what has to happen is you have to fight for yourself. And I just love this. I mean, it's
Well, I mean,
unbelievable.
really, it's and I appreciate that. I mean, at the time, I was just like, this doesn't make sense because, we have so many incredible doctors and specialists,
Yeah.
but the problem was that I was running into the medical system as the medical system was closing down,
Right.
right?
Right.
People weren't taking appointments. If you showed up at the ER and it wasn't something that was actually an emergency, you'd be sent away.
What terrible timing.
So, and alongside that, you can't see friends, family can't visit, they can't take you out to distract you with coffee. And so this is
Your
where,
poor
what I
mental
said to
health.
you in the pre-interview is that when I saw your story
Mhm.
that you did, the spotlight with Shaw Rogers,
Mhm.
I really started breaking down in tears because it was literally like somebody reflecting my own story back to me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the similarities in our stories is unbelievable, and I think we'll always share that, and it's, so impactful for me because hearing it from someone else, I
Mm.
share my story and I'm just an open book, and I think I've shared it so much, it's not phasing me, as much, but to hear your story, I'm like, "Where are my tissues at?" I wanna get into a little bit more of the goal setting in your recovery then, because what you said, you stepped away because you had to. How
Mm.
did you get it back? Or am I jumping too far ahead?
Um, so that took a lot. I mean, it went through where it really changed were 2 pieces.
Mhm,
The first one was, the hand specialist that I ended up landing with
mhm.
is Dr. Rodney French, who
Oh,
works
shut up.
Yeah. No.
That was my team doctor.
Yeah.
You knew that?
No, I did not know that.
Oh
So,
my god, are
Rod
we best
French
friends?
Yeah, I know, we really should be. I mean, when I saw that, and it's like, and this is
Oh my
like, it's so
gosh.
Rod looked at my hands and he said this, and it changed everything. It's
Okay.
when you start to meet the people, right? Yeah, I know. It's just like, Rod, what?
Oh my god, he's legend. Okay.
Rod looked at my hands and said this, "The issue is not in the hands. Your
Mm.
specialists need to look further." When I went to him, so in comparison to the other guy, and I don't name names unless they're people that have helped me, because
Yeah,
just because they couldn't help me doesn't mean that they haven't been able to help somebody else, right?
yeah.
The other guy said, I can't help you. CT scans are not going to show me anything. It's just not gonna do anything. The first thing that Rod said was, the issue is not in the hands.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you for a brain MRI. I want to
Cool.
see if there was something that happened in the whiplash that happened with your body when you flew at whatever speed needs to happen in order to dislocate your finger.
Mhm.
I want to see if there's something that is happening from there. If I can't see anything from there, I'll send you to rheumatology. I recommend that you see this pain specialist, and that's how we'll do
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
So that,
look at someone looking at your whole body, not just your hands.
imagine the
Shocking.
concept, right?
Yeah.
So he sends me to rheumatology. Rheumatology says, there's nothing here. Everything here is fine. Okay. So you can take comfort. And that was the difference too. Dr. Kam Shajanya said,
Mhm.
there's nothing here. You can take comfort in knowing that you don't have an autoimmune disease.
Mhm.
Okay, so Rod's saying there's nothing wrong with the hands. Kam Shajanya is saying there's nothing wrong with your body. So
Mhm.
I go to Rod and I go, so what do I do next? He's like, you go see Dr. Brenda Lau at Change Pain Clinic in Vancouver.
Okay.
She is the utmost person in the frontier of pain medicine. Worked with Pain BC, has developed the pain medicine program at UBC. And I go there and they say it's a 9-month wait list.
Oh, come on.
Because
Because they're so good at what they do.
not just that, but what happened is that when we all got told to stay home and watch TV and weren't moving and weren't going out, people were starting to notice, my hand hurts, my leg
Yeah.
hurts, my back hurts, and everything like that.
Okay.
They got a 700% increase in referrals.
Oh my God.
And so
Yeah.
I said, okay, fine. Can't do the MSP route. Can I do it privately?
Yeah.
They said, of course you can. But if you go private as a consultation, the rest of your track has to be private as well.
Okay. Oh, your
So
journey. Oh, your
I
journey.
went, okay, so here's the goal. Rod said the issue's not in the hands. Okay, I know my hands are safe. Kam Shajanya says there's nothing wrong with the rest of your body. So I'm waiting for Brenda Lau to say, okay, so what is the alarm system? And when you say, just as you did, that looking at the entire body,
Yeah.
their whole motto is that a symptom is not an island because it is all
Oh,
connected to
yeah.
everything else,
Yeah.
right? And at this point, I have like a 3-ring binder that I'm carrying around with me of all of the appointments that I've been to and who's looked at what and all the test results. Like I'm keeping everything. Like I'm literally playing Dr. House until I can
Yeah.
find a GP that can take me on and can quarterback all of it.
Mhm.
I'm probably rambling. You can tell me to stop at any
No, I'm
point.
into it, man.
Okay,
I'm like,
okay, all
we
right.
are so aligned, and I'm just like, what next?
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Like,
So Brenda looks at this, and first thing that she says, okay, so let's do a physical movement assessment. When you,
wait, did you decide to go private? You went private.
I originally went private and I said, fine, whatever,
Yeah.
I'll do whatever is necessary. And
Yeah.
then they called back and said, we have a cancellation,
Oh,
like 2 weeks
no
before my
way.
actual appointment. And they said, we have
Epic.
a cancellation. And I said, is this private? And they're like, no, it's
Mhm.
MSP. I was like, great, perfect, fine, got in,
The
right?
stars aligned for you because I hear going private, and I had to do a lot out of pocket for myself because you're willing to do what you need to do to get back on track.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Okay, thank you for sharing that. So
And
then she was looking at your whole body.
yeah, she's looking at the whole body. And what is really interesting about having this conversation with you too is that when you go, Rod French was my
Team doctor.
team doctor. I didn't have a team doctor.
I
So
know.
musicians don't have
Well, he wasn't my
doctors,
team doctor when I got hurt. We had another team doctor, and we won't talk about that.
but you had a team doctor, is what I'm saying.
Not in my court.
Not
After
in your court.
when I was healing, not in my
Okay.
court. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I went to 14 different ones.
So 14 for you,
Mhm.
21 for me.
Mhm.
What most people don't know, unless you specifically know the statistics, and I didn't know this until I became one, between 51 to 76% of all musicians play in some level of pain.
Oh.
So to visualize this simply, think of seeing a concert with the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra. There's
Yeah.
80 players, and they've got a 20-piece choir that is with them as well. That's 100 people. Anywhere between half and 3/4 of the people on that stage are in some level of pain or discomfort before,
Mhm.
during, or after.
It's similar to sports, I would say.
But nobody's talking about it in our industry
Yeah.
because, and so it's interesting. When this is, and it's so great to talk to you about this because as an athlete, and I didn't know that I should be considered be called an elite athlete
Mhm.
until a specialist in New York said the reason that doctors don't know what to do with musicians is because we are elite athletes. They look and go, the hand is hurting, it must be in the hand. Well, the hand is connected to the wrist, it's connected to the forearm, the bicep, the shoulders, and the everything like that.
Mhm.
When we think about um, what happened with your injury and your journey in sports, there's almost an expectation of you're going to get hurt, something
Mhm.
is going to happen, you're going to have all of these people that surround you that are going to lift you up and find places and things for you, and then you're going to come back and you get the cheer that goes, great, Mercedes made it. And whatever that sort of thing looks like is what that looks like in the sports world.
Mhm.
In stark contrast, you have somebody like a Shania Twain that was at the height of her career and then lost her voice.
Yeah.
And nobody knew for years and years and years why. She stopped singing. Then all of a sudden she was back, and people are like, oh yeah, she's back and it sounds great and all this sort of stuff. Oh, but her voice is different. Is she lip syncing? Right? Think Celine Dion, the stiff
Mhm.
person syndrome, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a
Totally.
sudden she had that documentary that came out that showed the inane and insane stuff that she had to go through.
Yeah.
A month later, she's at the Olympics. She
Mhm.
blows everybody away,
Mhm.
and people are like, "This is incredible." But is it AI or is she lip syncing?
Oh my god, I never even.
Literally, that literally came out. I saw people on social media says, There's no way that she can sing after what she went through."
Yeah.
What they don't realize and what they don't see because they don't expect it from us as musicians is that she trained for a year as an athlete
Yeah.
in reworking her vocal cords
Yeah.
and everything like that, and it started with one song, right?
Yep.
So
I
it
love
is
it.
it is that gets you to the point where Brenda says, "Okay, we're looking at the entire body."
No doubt. So when you talk to her
Mm.
and the outcome, like, you come through this injury, mental health plays a huge, like, it's when did that come into play? Is this
Well,
where we're
this
going?
the mental health thing was holding everything together for the longest time.
Yeah.
So how we got to the actual diagnosis was, in one of two ways. Brenda at one point suspected there is something that is happening up around the shoulders that is
Okay.
either cutting off circulation or something like that, but there wasn't enough yet, that was showing signs, and I said, "I'm seeing a cardiologist." They're like,
Okay.
"Great." I'm seeing a thoracic surgeon. Okay, great. We'll get all that sort of stuff. And she started being the person that started putting these pieces together. Where it really changed was I was in physiotherapy,
Yeah.
and anybody who's been in physio knows this. You go in, you feel fine, and you come out of there with a lot more pain because they pull you and stretch you and twist you and put you upside down or whatever.
Yeah.
And at one point, I literally did this. I can't take this anymore.
Oh.
So much pain, or blah, 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 blah. Stop. Looked back down, and I said to my physiotherapist, I said, "That's interesting." She's like, "What?" I said, "Hang on." And so for the audio version of this, what I'm doing is I'm straining my neck, like I'm tilting my head all the way back until I can barely talk.
Yeah. Looking
And
to the sky.
I'm looking to the sky, and I'm bawling because it's like, yeah, this is not going to be my life forever.
Mhm.
And but what happened at that point is all the pain disappeared.
No.
Yes. And so I looked at my physiotherapist and she's like, "What are you experiencing?" And I said, "When I tilt my head all the way back,
Mhm.
the pain disappears. She goes, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to take your left arm and you're going to extend it fully.
Mhm.
Okay. You're going to take your head and so this is my left arm. I've extended it fully. I'm going to turn my head all the way to the right,
Yeah.
and I'm going to flex and extend my hand towards my back. And
Mhm.
she's going to feel my pulse. She's going to feel my pulse before I turn my head.
Mhm.
What we're looking for is signs of what is called thoracic outlet syndrome.
Say that again.
Thoracic outlet syndrome, and I'll explain what that is in a second.
Okay.
So she does that, and she puts her finger on my pulse, and
Yeah.
then has me turn my head, and sure enough, my pulse disappears. She has me do it with the other side, and same thing, the pulse disappears, although in this case, it disappears entirely. So if she keeps me in that position, my arm is going to turn blue. That started showing indications of what is called thoracic outlet syndrome. So between your collarbone and your first rib,
Yeah.
the thoracic outlet, and that is through where the veins and the arteries
Yep.
and the nerves and everything like that go down into your arms and hands, all
Mhm.
the way there. What had happened, everybody's like, get to it, just get to it, tell us what happened. What had happened when I flew into that luggage was the whiplash of me bracing myself
Yeah.
had compressed the thoracic outlet, and all of the nerves and the arteries and blood vessels in that were basically in a chokehold.
Got it.
So the next thing was, okay, so we're going to do trigger point injections and freezing in the neck
Mhm.
to see if releasing the scalene muscles that attach to that.
Yeah.
You can tell I've been at this for a while because, it's like talking about this medical stuff, like, it just has that, like, yeah, I know how to do this.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about because I had to do neck therapy as well.
Yeah.
So like I am just gobbling all this up and following.
So they said, we're going to freeze the muscles and see if that releases. And it
Mhm.
did. They said, okay, so now we have a clear indication that this is thoracic outlet syndrome, but is it vascular or is it neurogenic, which means the nerves?
Mhm.
So back to the cardiologist, and he said, so what I would recommend that Brenda Lauer Change Pain do is freeze those muscles with Botox
Okay.
to see if doing that alleviates that long term.
Mhm.
Because if it does, then that's a solution. If not, then what we have to do is we have to go in and remove that first rib in order to decompress the area.
Oh, for 5-6. Okay.
Yeah. For 5-6. Wow. Never heard that one before, but I love it. Oh, for 5-6. Okay. All right.
Oh my God. Okay. I want to know that you still have your rib.
No, I don't. I had it taken out. That was my
No.
surgery. I had to go in. They had to go in through my my chest wall and remove that rib. And and I remember waking up after the surgery and looking down at my left arm and hand, and I could still feel the pain in my right one, but not in my left one.
So it worked.
It worked.
Oh my gosh.
It worked.
Okay.
And it was when you talk about goals and it's like, okay, I got to the goal. I got the
Mhm.
goal and I had the surgery. And then I had a physical assault in the hospital from a doctor that was in my care
Oh my
that
God.
came into my room while I was sleeping to try to remove my chest tube without waking me up or asking permission or anything like that. And that was the piece that destroyed my mental health. Because
Oh.
when you finally get to the point where it's like you let your guard down and you're in this place and safe space where all of a sudden somebody just like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't care whether the patient's awake. And the only reason that I felt it was because I had the bandages that were holding everything in place, and all of a sudden they start pulling all that. And I was like, what are you doing? And that was the piece that was like, okay, that was the piece that broke everything. And at that
Oh my
point, it was
God.
just like, I can't
Trust is gone.
I can't fix anything else. I can't work on anything else. I've been at this point, Mercedes, I've been at it for 4.5 years.
Yeah. Oh, I don't normally swear on my podcast. I'm like, oh my God, I feel you, man.
You
It
need a
takes a
disclaimer. Here, let
toll.
me help you with that. This podcast may include language that is not suitable for all viewers. Listener discretion is advised.
Oh, so crazy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Where do you go from there? I mean, you've got, so wait, did you get both ribs taken out, or were you
So I
like,
had they started with the first one because and it's funny is because they're like, yeah, we take it out and it'll be fine. But then what they don't tell you is all the things that the I mean, it was part of my body for 43 years,
yeah,
and
everything's going to
taking out
shift?
something that is things are going to shift. And the
Yeah.
first thing that they do the day after the surgeries, they have a physical therapist that comes in that puts his one hand on the front of your chest and one hand on your back and has you cough
Oh, that
because
sounds like
things have to
agony.
start moving. And it's like, I used to think, I don't know why they do this thing where people who get like knee replacements or hip replacements that have to start walking the next day,
Right
I had to
away.
start coughing the next day. So the thing that happened next was I basically gave up.
Oh, I'm so
And the people that were charged with my pain in the hospital weren't listening and weren't paying attention. And there were several nights where I remember being left in agony and buzzing the nursing. I was like, this is brutal. I can't take this. There's nothing. They got the dosage on my antidepressant medication. They got that wrong, even though it was on the bottle, and so I was on half of that when I really shouldn't have been. And it just ended up being this nightmare where they said, well, there's no pain specialist on call. We can give you an injection of this, an injection of that, and it'll be fine. And
Mhm.
there were several nights where I was just so hopped up on medication and sweating through everything that I had no idea whether I was going to come out on the other side of it. And by the
Unbelievable.
time I got out of the hospital and you get home, it's basically like, okay, bye, see you, right?
Mhm.
Yes, you have a follow-up with your surgeon, and the surgeon was amazing, and the nurses were amazing, but it was that one person that specifically was responsible for managing my pain in the hospital that didn't
Mhm.
pay attention to anything that had been done before. And
Right.
so at the end of it, I come out and I'm home and I'm in a different type of agony in a different part of my body, and I'm like, "No, I don't
Yeah.
wanna do this anymore."
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's awful. But you had to come we're gonna get to this part where you
Yeah.
go on a journey and you find help.
Well, what I did was I called Brenda Lau's clinic and I said, "This is what happened.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to do next."
Mhm.
And so what we ended up doing was something that they had tried before I had the surgery. And so what we're talking about here is doctor-controlled, medically supervised ketamine infusion therapy.
Mhm.
And Change Pain is the only private clinic in British Columbia accredited by the College of Surgeons and Physicians of BC to offer this.
Mhm.
So the way that it works is they send you for blood work and all that sort of stuff, and they check your heart and everything like that, and you go there and you get, just like for any sort of normal medical thing, they attach, the electrodes to make sure that your heart is and your blood pressure cuff and all this sort of stuff. You get put into a comfortable chair. They had first wanted to try to see if it would help with pain.
Okay.
So that was one of the first things. When we did that, and this was before the surgery, and this is even before the um,
You found out.
actual
Yeah.
diagnosis,
Yeah. Yeah.
I went into it and I had no idea what to expect. I read about it, I did my homework on it. I
Yeah.
tried to steer away from any of those conversations or references to that drug being used in clubs and things like that,
Mhm.
because I wasn't getting the drug, I was getting the medicine, right?
Mhm.
They weren't
And I
giving
think
me that's the distinction. I wasn't getting the drug, I was getting the medicine in
mhm.
a medically supervised, doctor-controlled environment.
Mhm.
So I went into it, they put you they give you an IV and they say, if you've got music that you wanna listen to, you've got 2 nurses with you, the doctors are around the corner in case something happens or something is slightly off. And I had no idea what to expect or how to feel, and I certainly went into it with no expectation of this is gonna fix everything. And
Yeah.
the reason for that is because I'd gone through so many things that I was waiting for somebody to say, "Just press this button and everything will go away,"
Oh,
right?
wouldn't that be great?
Yeah,
But
that would be
you were open. That's what is so important about this story is you were open and willing to try all these different things, and that is the answer. It's not one thing that makes everything better. It's searching and finding, right?
it's because I got put into that direction, and again, I put this back to Dr. Rod French. Dr. Rod French was the one that said, "Go see Brenda Lau. She's at the
Right.
top of her field. She's got her own clinic. She's got the top people that are working in this." And she said, "I think you should try this." Right? I looked at everything. I changed my diet. I changed how I slept. I drank tea without sugar, which is like blasphemy for me. It's like, oh, this really does taste like deity water. And so there was no other option. It's like if you don't try it and it could work, then for the rest of your life, it's like, well, I wish I had. So I
Yeah.
went into it, and what happened during that first session was something that I completely did not expect.
Mhm,
So I spent years trying to come to terms with the loss of my mom
mhm.
from a disease for which there was no medication, no surgery, no cure, or anything like that. It's called progressive supranuclear palsy. It's what Dudley Moore had. And when he had that, people were just like, "Oh, well, he's like drunk and stumbling around." This this works in the same sort of places and spaces that dementia and Alzheimer's does, but it kills the brain cells that has to do with motor coordination and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I spent 7 years trying to get through. How do I get through the rest of my life with half of the person that gave me life now gone?
Yeah.
That one session with the medically supervised, doctor controlled ketamine infusion therapy gave me one last opportunity to have a proper and final goodbye in a space and a place that is dear to me, that allowed me to then come out of that with my brain and my mental health holding on to a very simple thing.
Mhm.
And I'm going to try not to choke.
No, this is deep. Yeah.
She's not here in person, but she is in every single ounce of my being, in every single part of my DNA, in every single everything that is the building block of what it is that is me.
So cool.
So I don't have her with me as an external person.
Mhm.
She lives as the fabric of who I am.
Oh, what a great lesson from that.
And I went home. And here's the important part too. So you have the infusion, and then they watch you for 2 hours after the infusion stops, and you sleep it off and all that sort of stuff. And
Mhm.
then you get sent home. In my case, my partner of 20 years,
Mhm.
and you're supervised for 24 hours. So what they're looking for is, do you have difficulty sleeping? Do you have difficulty waking up? Dissociative thoughts or things like that. I didn't have any of that. I
Awesome.
woke up the next morning, and the first thing that I did was I went to the closet to look for the boxes of the things that my mom had left me that I had left untouched for 7 years. And
Mhm.
I opened up all of them. And I looked at everything with like, oh yes, I remember when she had the sweater that grandma knit and blah 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 and all this sort of stuff. And it was all happy, and none of it was sad
Mhm.
until I found my childhood storybooks, and I
Oh,
lost it because I hadn't seen those in decades.
yeah.
And I thought they were left behind in Czech Republic when we left.
Oh, interesting.
So this healing from
Mm,
one session, when I went back to Brenda Lau after the assault in the hospital and the discharge, and said, I don't know where to go from here because I'm in a different type of pain, and I don't know how to get from this to what happens next.
mhm.
Because what it felt like is, when we talk about goals, the goal was to get to the surgery, and I had started building and rebuilding the road of what happens after.
Yeah.
And the part was, I'm going to physiotherapy. And then I'm going to have exercises that I do on the piano that were recommended and specifically created for me by Dr. Aviva Wolf, who works with musicians that are injured out in New York, that works with them as elite athletes and puts little sensors on their body as they're playing, saying, "You're playing wrong. You're
Right.
using your hands. You should be using the weight of your shoulders."
Hmm.
So Brenda said, "We need to put you on an intense ketamine infusion therapy treatment
To overcome what has happened and the
to
pain that you're dealing with.
Yeah, because it was literally said to me as, think of, and anybody who's got a computer or a smartphone or anything like that can relate to it.
Yeah.
Once you get to the point where your computer is just like it's slow and it's buggy and all that sort of stuff, what do we want to do? We want to hit the reset button.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I had spent 4.5 years fighting not to be Martin the pianist or Martin the composer. I was fighting just to live and survive.
Yeah.
And through all of it, all I heard in my brain was that static that you hear when, this is old school radio, when you didn't get the station, but all it heard was
Yeah. You were done. You were fried.
it was, and so I ended up doing 3 sessions a week for 4 weeks to
Amazing.
reset everything and to rework through that. And what is so important in knowing about this and talking about this is that I know people that have had PTSD that were former shells of themselves. When you talked in the video where you talked about, the your effervescent personality is gone,
Your
and
sparkle's gone.
the spark is gone and everything like that. I've seen people that have PTSD, war veterans, people who have treatment-resistant depression, which is a thing, and it's not something that we talk enough about. But this medicine works for that.
Yeah.
And for me, it is the reason that we're having this conversation. And I know that somebody said to me, when I was considering it, they said, "Well, aren't you worried about what happened to Matthew Perry happening to you?" And
Different, very different.
well, it's very different, and the important part of that is that it was the drug ketamine that killed Matthew Perry, but it was the medicine that saved my life.
Yeah.
That is the difference. You in an uncontrolled environment, just like anything, right? In an uncontrolled, unsupervised environment, it's poison. When it's in the hands of doctors and specialists in an environment where you are safe, if something happens, they immediately stop it. They've got any sort of thing there. It is a life-saving treatment,
I
right?
love that. It's such a great story.
When we talk about, and just as another comparison, when we think now about fentanyl, we think about the dangers of what it's doing out on the streets.
Yeah.
What most people don't know, it's that it's been an anesthetic in hospitals for years,
Yeah.
right?
Used properly.
It was originally used in operating rooms on humans, then it went into animal care, then propofol was introduced. And again, we know propofol only because Michael Jackson died of that being used. But propofol is what they use as part of one of the medications that they can do when they put you under for surgery.
Right.
And so that's the difference is when it's the drug and when it's outside of the medical environment, it is deadly. But when you put it into the hands of people like Brenda Lau, who's been at this her entire career and framed her entire existence and what she does and what change pain does, as the pain stops with me. If I can help one person get out of pain, it makes a difference.
100%.
And that's similarly to you. That's why I'm having these conversations now. I'm the one that is screaming now, saying like, this is something that can help people. It saved my life. It can help somebody else.
It's so amazing. I want to touch on that was still during the COVID times, or that was post-COVID.
That was So the surgery was 2023, so we were getting out of it.
Out of COVID. Okay.
Um,
And
yeah.
I wanna see where are you at now mentally and physically and playing?
So I am now at a point where I feel comfortable enough and strong enough to talk about what happened to me
Mhm.
and to have that conversation willingly, because it was an injured flute player in New York that shared her story with NBC News
Mhm.
that introduced me to Dr. Viva Wolf, because she's the one that said, you need to change how you're playing. Not because of what happened in your accident, but because your body changes as you age.
Yeah.
For me, what was important is that, similarly to you, I looked to art therapy, because talk therapy was like, it's fine and whatever, but I needed to find another outlet. So I went to
Yeah.
art therapy, I started doing drawings, and then at
Mhm.
one point they said to me, draw what you imagine your life to be, or where you want to be on the
Mhm.
other side of this. Don't think of being on the stage, don't think of anything else.
Mhm.
So I ended up drawing what I call the new beginnings sunrise. So it's water, it's the sunrise, and things like that. And that art piece is complementary to the first song that I wrote back at the piano, which is called New Beginnings.
Oh god.
And it is the first time that I've taken my artwork and put it in for public consumption, because it is the cover of the
Yeah.
New Beginnings single.
So
And it is, it's something that now, when I think about it, deep breath,
yeah. Yeah.
um, I can I can look at the sunrise and the painting that I did of that, and step out on my balcony in the morning and watch the sunrise and go, "I made it."
Yes. Ah, you did.
It's
You came yeah, wow. It's such a story. It's such a journey, but
Yeah.
you grew so much throughout it. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I'm
Yeah.
gonna just go over a couple of the takeaways that I have from your store journey because it's eye-opening and, very, very similar to my story.
Mm,
And I thank you so much for dropping in with me today. Um, just what you went through and how you fought for yourself and you in a sense, maybe without even knowing, set these goals, um, of getting better, which sometimes might not even seem like a goal, but internally, it's just fighting for yourself. I will get better. I'm gonna do everything I can do,
yeah.
even if you had to go private, you know? Luckily, the stars aligned. You didn't have to go private,
Mhm.
and you got the help that you needed from the people that were ready to listen,
Yeah.
and look at your body as a whole. And I like, I literally in this podcast said, "Are we best friends?" Because a lot
Yeah.
of these things align. You had doctors that were ready to fight for you, and I think that's important. That's really important.
The doctors that fought for me are incredible, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my GP that took me on after I had to
Mm,
fire my other one. Dr. Tinu Bassi in
okay.
Vancouver is incredible. I've walked into every single appointment knowing the ins and outs, and when he saw and heard my story, um, he said, "Yeah, let's do this and let's do it together." And it was a there were certain times where I would call him and I was like, "I've had enough." Like, I
Mhm,
just don't want to anymore, because when you go through 4.5 years of relentless pain and 233 appointments and 21 specialists, and nobody can tell you what the other side of that looks like, and you start rebuilding that road,
mhm.
and then somebody all of a sudden does something that not only destroys that road, but the entire future of everything is just gone.
Yeah,
And when you've set that goal for yourself and somebody else destroys it, that is an incredibly brutal thing to try to transcend.
no doubt.
And
Mm.
I was lucky enough to have both the doctors and my loving partner saying to me, "Please don't give up. Please
Mhm,
stay."
mhm,
Um, you know, it's you have to My biggest advice, if I can give it,
mhm.
is you have to be your best and own advocate.
Yeah.
We live in a world where we have access to so many things, and there are so many things that can help you, and it is being aligned with the right people, but you also have to know and understand your body and what works, and you do not, under any circumstance whatsoever, ever take no for an answer until somebody says, this is literally the end of the road. We have gone through everything and everywhere,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Until somebody says that, keep fighting.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah.
somebody says, this is it, this is the end. And even then, it's like, okay, well, maybe somebody has a different opinion.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And I'm not going to remiss the point that you are an elite athlete. I can't
Mm.
do what you do. No way. You it's
I
like
can't do
so
what you do either. I saw that
it's
and I was like, I would fall the minute that I would lock into this. Like, what?
So I thank you for giving us the alignment, and I can see so clearly how you being an elite athlete is very, very true. And I thank you so much for dropping in today. Your takeaway, sorry, the takeaway was writing these goals down in the mirror. I
Mm,
did that as well. They were
mm,
on Post-it notes, you know?
yeah.
So you can take any glimmer of a goal, and when you write it down, when you say it out loud, when you have people advocating for you, it's just so important. And thank you so much for sharing your story, your vulnerability. It's been amazing. Where can people follow you online if they want to catch up more?
martinmayer.com. I'm also on Instagram. I am Martin Mayer. Facebook, I am Martin Mayer, and YouTube, Martin Mayer Music. I'm on all the streaming platforms. My brand new album, the Solo Piano Collection, is the triumph and the celebration of everything that I went through, and my first album since that. And it's got a beautiful book of sheet music that accompanies it, that is available online globally. It's been an absolute delight to talk to you. We do have to meet at some point, and
We
I'm
will.
sure that we can make that happen because, these types of stories are important.
Mhm.
And if you had said to me, like if I looked back a number of years and I said, yeah, I could easily openly talk about this. No. But it is having these types of conversations that
Mhm.
that is important, because we can make the difference of somebody that's sitting, that is that Martin in pain, or that is that Mercedes that is in art therapy, and we don't know where we are, to
Yeah.
know, like, hey, you really are not alone.
Mhm.
And I think there's probably a lot more people in your world, in the sports world, that get that. I'm now trying to push for amplifying the voice of the musicians. It's
Brilliant.
okay. We do get back. And if somebody says it's AI, well, it's not AI. And if you want proof,
It's
well,
hard work, people.
it's hard work, people. We are human beings naturally inclined to survive.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for dropping in today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much for dropping in today. You can find everything you want to know about Dropping In with Mercedes at droppinginwithmercedes.com. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks DJ Kenosis for the music and my mom for the intro voice.